Okay, we are at the bottom of Kemach. Bava Basra. Amar of Sheishes. So a Shchiv Meirah, as opposed to a regular person, we know gives away property with what he says. Regular person doesn't really matter as much what he says because they're doing a kinyan. But if there's no kinyan, so the question is, what does he have to say if it's just going based on his words? What words are acceptable as a kinyan Shchiv Meirah, and what words are not acceptable? So Amar of Sheishes Yitol, if he says any of the following words, Yitol, you should take my stuff. Yiske, you should be zochim my stuff. Yachsik, you should be machsik my stuff. Yikne, you should be yikne my stuff. Kulan lashon matanahin. All of these are lashon matana, and it works. Says the Gemara b'masni satana, and we add two other lashonos in the Mishnah. Af yachsin, if you say you should be miyachis my stuff. V'yares, you should be yares my stuff. That works too if it's biroi li or show. As Rashbam said, if it's like a bain abanim, somebody that was roi to inherit you, then if you say some of these lashonos, yachsin and yares, that works as well. But a regular person, you can say yitol, yiske, yachsik, yikne, and those are all ways for the shchimra to give over his stuff. So the Gemara of Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka, and this is all within Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka. Ibayilahu, Zok the Gemara, yehene behen mahu. Well, we said all of these things work. What about if you say you should be nehene in my property? Well, what does that mean? Dinehave kulu matana ka'amar. Is he saying you should get hana, I want to give you the entire thing? Or dilma lisno minayu mide ka'amar. He wants you to get a little bit of hana. I don't want to give you all of the hana. I don't want to give you the entire thing, says the Shchiv Meirah. But I want to give you some hana, but it doesn't mean that I'm trying to give away all of my property to you, or whatever this item is. We're not necessarily talking about whether he's giving all of it or not. We're talking about each individual item, whether it's a matana, whether it's not. That's not important right now. But when I give away this chumash to you, so how do I lemaisa do it? You're not making a kinyan. A regular person, you make a kinyan, it's yours. But if you're not making kinyanim by a Shchiv Meirah, it's just based on my words, so then how do I say? So if I say this is, you should be yikne this, it works. You should be yachzik this, it works. If I say to you, you should be yehne with this chumash, what do I mean? Do I mean you should use it one time? Or do I mean that it's yours to keep? So the Gemara, Gira bahen, you should be seen with this chumash. Okay, shkayach, what does that mean? Mahu. Yamod bahen, you should stand with this chumash. Yishayin bahen, you should rely on this chumash. Mahu. Teku, tishbi yitirates kushir tzbas. And like we said yesterday, seemingly that would mean hamotzi mechaver alavaraya. And since you would not be able to prove that you deserve it, it would stay in the possession of the Shchiv Meirah and the Shchiv Meirah's inheritors. Ibayilahu, machar kol nechasav mahu. What happens if he sells all of his properties? Now we know that if a Shchiv Meirah gives away all of his properties and he gets better, he gets it back. Let's say he sold all of his properties and then he gets better. So what's the two stadim? Amar of Yehuda Amarav, imamad eino chozer. Yehuda says if he gets better, he doesn't get it back. V'zimnin Amar Yehuda Amarav, and depending who asked him, sometimes he said imamad chozer. If he gets better, he gets it back. V'lo pligi, they're not arguing. Why? Because it depends what the situation is. Ha de isnu lezuze beinayu, ha de parinu bechova. And so many times in the Gemara, the svara is so glot. If the guy is still holding the money, the shchimra is still holding the money, what does that show? That means just like when he gives away all of his stuff, it shows that he's giving it away only because he's dying, and if he gets better, we're going to give it back to him. If he's holding on to the money, what does that prove? He sold it, but he's holding on to the money just in case he gets better, he'll get his stuff back. Obviously, if he gets his stuff back, he's going to have to give the money back. But the point is, at a regular sale, I can't just tell you afterwards that I want the stuff back. So here, if he's holding on to the money, it shows that he just did it because he was dying, and therefore if he gets better, he gets the stuff back. If he uses it to be parinu bechova, if he takes the money and spends it, if he takes the money to pay off debts, clearly he wasn't planning on getting it back had he gotten better. And therefore, Lamaisa, whatever he does with the money, that's how we'll decide whether he can get his stuff back or not. Makes a lot of sense. Ibayilahu. Shchiv Meirah shehode mahu. Let's say a Shchiv Meirah is on his deathbed, and he said, let's read the Rashbam, third line. For Amar Bechelyo, he says the following: Sadeh umalos halalu shel plonihen. You think I'm rich. You think I have this beautiful house in the cottage. I want to tell you that the sadeh and the malos that I have really belong to Mr. Plony. They're not really mine. V'yavabi shahainu mutzakim minachasim alalu shen einan shaloso ploni shahayu yodin shehin shel zeh. We all know it belongs to the Shchiv Meirah, and he's just making up baloney that the cottage belongs to this other guy who's never been there before. Maybe he has a secret hidden in his closet and really it belonged to Plony the entire time. And when the Shchiv Meirah makes a hodah, just like he can give away any of his stuff, we believe anything he says. Or he's trying to not be Mazbi as Banav. What does that mean? It means he doesn't want everybody to think, right? You have these guys that are sitting there, they don't have any money in their life, and all of a sudden they're going to inherit $5 million each. He doesn't want everybody to start talking about his kids, so he pretends that he has no money. Yes, when he dies, so quietly all of the money will go to his kids, but he wants to pretend that he went bankrupt. He claims that he went bankrupt because he doesn't want everybody to know that his kids are going to get $5 million each, either because, again, he doesn't want everybody to know, or seemingly, as others say, he doesn't want everybody to know because he doesn't want an ayin hara on his kids. But either way, do we say that he's bluffing, and he's just claiming that, that cottage and that mansion that he always lived in doesn't actually belong to him, he was borrowing it his whole life, and it really belongs to Plony? Or do we say, no, we're going to believe him, we are going to believe him, and in Echnami, he's not just doing it because he wants to go ahead and pretend that his kids don't have any money. Sak the Gemara, Tashma, we're going to bring a proof. There was a guy named Isser, and Isser was a Giyura, he was a ger. The Isser Giyura Havale Tracer Alpha Zuze Be Rava. He had 12,000 Zuzim, and they were being held by Rava in Rava's house. Rav Mari Brei, so Isser Giyura had a son, Rav Mari, but it wasn't his full halachic son. Why? Haraso Shalo Bikshusha. He was conceived when Isser was still not Jewish. Viledaso Bikshusha Have. And he was born once Isser became a ger. Ubei Rav Have. And he's now a student at Bei Rav. So you have Rav Mari, whose father is Isser, but halachically his father's not Isser. And he's studying in Rav's yeshiva. And you have Isser, who's by Rava, and all of his money is sitting by Rava. What happens if Isser dies now? Who gets the money? Well, that's the question. Amar Rava. Heichi nikninu Rav Mari lahani zuze. So now, there's different ways to interpret this, and we're not going to pick one specific way, but there's different interpretations here. It could be that Rava is trying to figure out how to give the money to Rav Mari, because again, halachically, he's not the son. It could be that Rav is trying to figure out how to make sure that halachically Rav Mari doesn't get the money. Because again, if Isser Giyura dies right now, who gets the money? Seemingly Rava, because he has no inheritors. He's a ger, and when there's a ger and there's no inheritors, then his stuff is hefker, and whoever does a chazak on it, whoever does a kinyan, and it gets it. Well, all the money's in Rava's house. He's watching it for him, so he's going to get all the money when Isser dies. So he's either trying to figure out how to get the money to Rav Mari in a kosher way. Again, he could seemingly give it to him afterwards, but he's not in the same place. So again, for whatever reason, he wants to figure out, or it could just be that he's doing a whole thing in Svara here. He's just trying to go through all of the logic. Or, as some explain, and it's possible, he wants to see how he gets to keep the money for himself. And he wants to figure out if there's a way that Rav Mari, does Rav Mari have any tainas? And can Isser even give the money to Rav Mari if he wants? Now that he's seemingly a Shchiv Meira. Says the Gemara, let's figure out all the options for Rav Mari to get his hands on this $12,000, which otherwise will be mine. Ibi Yerusha, if we say that when Isser dies, Rav Mari will get a Lav Bar Yerusha, it's not true. Because since he was a ger, and since he was conceived before his father became Jewish, so he's not connected to him halachically for Yerusha. Ibi Matana, if you're going to say that now Isser can give it over as a Matna Shchiv Meira, now there's a new halacha. Manna Shchiv Meira ki Yerusha Shavi Rabbanan. In general, a Manna Shchiv Meira should not work. Because how does a Manna Shchiv Meira work? The Shchiv Meira says something, and when is it Chal? It's Chal after he dies. Well, after he dies, how should it work? It should work based on, it does work on Yerusha, but the halacha is, it could be that the Shchiv Meira can give it to whoever he wants, but it needs to be somebody who would be able to be Yorish anyway, not so something that we've seen before. Kol heicha de'isei b'Yerusha isei b'matana, kol heicha de'lesei b'Yerusha lesei b'matana. If you're not, since it's only Chal after Shchiv Meira works, he can give it to whoever he wants who would be a Yorish. But if you're not somebody who's in the line of Yerusha, in which case of a ger there is no line of Yerusha, then he cannot give a Matna Shchiv Meira to however he wants. And therefore, he cannot give the Matna Shchiv Meira, according to this interpretation, he cannot give a Matna Shchiv Meira to Rav Mari, because again, it'll only be Chal after he dies, and since we're treating it as Yerusha, he's not a person who can be Yoresh from Isser. Ibn Meshicha, if he wanted to give it over to Rav Mari with Meshicha, less Nugabe. Well, Rav Mari is not near Isser, so they can't do it. He's not near, forget about Isser, he's not near the stuff. So you can't do Meshicha on the stuff. Ibe Chalipin, if you want to do it with Chalipin, where Isser would lift something up, and then Rav Mari would get it. Ein Madbea Nikne Bechalipin. We can't go ahead and acquire money with Chalipin. Iyag of Karka, if Isser wants to give it to Rav Mari with land, you can include the 12,000 zuzeh with land. There's only one problem. Las Layara. Isser has no land. Ibe Ma'amet Shloshin, there's something called Ma'amet Shloshin, where you can get all three parties involved, and you can get them all together, and then we can work out the details that way. So Rava says, well, Ishalach li lo azlina. If they ask me to come because I'm the one holding the money, I'm not going to go. Why would I go? I'm going to lose my $12,000. So they went back and forth in the base medrash. So Rav Ika is sitting there, seemingly, or again, just part of the story, but Rav Ika hears about this, or he's in the base medrash. Maskala Rav Ika brei de Rav Ami. he bangs on the beam and says, wait a second, I have a solution. And Rabbi's like, no, please, don't say anything. Amai, what's the problem? Vilode Isser dahalin zuze de Rav Meri ninu viliknu beodaisa. Isser is a shchim beira, and we know, claims Ravika, that if a shchim beira is modeh about something, we believe is hodah. Even though it's clear to us seemingly that it's Isser's money, but if Isser claims and is modeh that the money actually belongs to Rav Meri, then Enechanami, the money belongs to Rav Meri. Adahachi nafa godisa mi be'Isser. One guy went on Facebook, he posted up what happened in the thing. Isser got the message when he was by Rav's house, and he said, I admit, this money becomes to Rav Meri, because seemingly he wanted to give the money to Rav Meri. He raised him, he was his son, but luckily he wasn't his son. Ikbid Rava Amar, so Rava, again, depending how you learn. If he wanted the money for himself, he got upset. If he didn't lie the money for himself, he didn't get upset. 1 second. Kamegamre tanasa leinshe umafsidili. He says, this is what happens in the base medrash. You start going back and forth, and you start doing all of these svaras, and the word gets out, and now Isser goes ahead and he's able to be modeh. The way that the Gemara seems to be learning, it's interesting, because it sounds like Isser was being modeh to something that the Gemara seems to be saying wasn't necessarily true. But at the end of the day, for our purposes, what do we see here? We see that if a shchim meira is modeh about something, we're going to believe him, which is why we brought this story over here, because we had a question. If a shchim meira is modeh, do we believe him, or do we assume he's just saying it so that nobody will hock his kids? And it's clear from here that when Isser was modeh, that the money belongs to Rav Meri, so Rav Meri actually gets the money. Again, there's a difference of opinion. Did Rava want to give the money? Did he not? I think it was brought down. Somebody mentioned the first year that the Meiri says that Rava, of course, didn't want to keep the money for himself, but he wanted to be able to get a mitzvah by giving over the money to Rav Meri himself, like to acquire it for himself and then to give it to Rav Meri. But at the end of the day, what you see here is that Isser got word. And again, one can say he wasn't lying. Maybe it really did belong to him, and he didn't know the svara that it could be modeh, but it was Rav Meri's entire time. And when he found out from the svara of the base medrash back and forth, it ended up that he admitted, and Lamaisa, his son Rav Meri, got the money. You're confused. I'm also confused. Yeah, please. I didn't write the story, just for the record. I did not write the story.
First of all, it goes against everything we've had before, and we're saying you have to be able to Yoresh the individual.
Right.
Nobody's mentioned that before.
Correct.
We have all kinds of cases where the indication is it's not somebody in line of inheritance.
Correct.
Secondly, he's still alive. He hasn't died yet.
Therefore what?
Why can't he just give it to him? Even though his money's in somebody else's house, why can't he simply say, I give this money to my son?
He can, but he's saying that if you say that if you say that you need to be a Yoresh in order to get it, it's not going to help.
No, so he can give it as a gift.
I can never give money away?
So that's what he's saying. He's saying that a manna shchimera, it won't.
When I die.
He's saying that a manna shchimera will not be chal unless you're giving it to a person. It will not be chal achar misa unless you're giving it to a person who. No, again, the whole point with the manna shchimera is that you don't have to do a kinyan. You can give him matana, but he's not here, so he can't do any. That was Rav's whole thing. He was going through all these other things that Lamaisa Rav, that there's no way for Rav Meri to do a kinyan. If you want to give him a present now, you can give it to him. But we're saying the mitzias is that he's here and he's in China, and he has no way of giving it to him, and he can't just send him an email and say, okay, it's yours. So he's trying to figure out the easiest way to do it is with a manna shchimera, by just saying it, not needing to do a physical action. He's saying that based on this idea that you have to be a yoresh to be mekabel a manna shchimera, he can't do it.
So if he's modeh, he's giving it away right now.
If he's modeh, it's not his. Then it belongs to Rav Meri. We believe him, and now it's Rav Meri's.
So I'm saying if he can be
But the point is that he didn't know that he's allowed to be modeh until the story progressed.
No,
Nobody knew that you're allowed to be modeh.
If you can be
If anybody's modeh, forget about shchimera. If I'm modeh, that my house belongs to you, we believe me.
Now or later?
Seemingly now.
So now what's the big chiddush?
Nothing, because...
You don't have to give anything now.
So again, so it could be again. So maybe it's not true. I don't know for sure, but maybe it is that if I have a chazak on something, maybe I can't be modeh that it belongs to you. I don't know. It sounds like the chiddush is that a shchiv meira can be modeh again, because then what's the Gemara's question? The Gemara's question is, can a shchiv meira, if a shchiv meira is modeh, or we could say that a regular person can be modeh, but by a shchiv meira we're nervous that he's doing things and he's lying by being modeh, and maybe even by a regular person who can be modeh, maybe by a shchiv meira we'll say that he can't be modeh because we have to assume that he's lying for the sake of his kids. The chiddush is that a shchiv meira is like a regular person, and he's allowed to be modeh just like a regular person, and it'll be chal now like a regular person is modeh. Maybe that's the pshat. And
It's like it's given already. It's easier. And here it sounds like it's harder.
it's kimisur and dummy that you don't have to do. No, it's kimisur. It sounds like kimisur and dummy that you don't have to do a chazak. You don't have to do a kinyan on it. But at the end of the day, it sounds like again it'll only be chal achar misa if somebody was royally yorsho. But that's the chiddush here, is that a shchiv meira is modeh. So then we're going to believe him like a regular person, seemingly, even though in general we wouldn't necessarily, even though we have doubt to assume that the Gemara is telling the truth. Okay, done with Kemat. On to Kemat. Oh, we're done with Kemat also. Okay, on to Kemat Amud Beis. Dr. Gemara. Shayir karka kolshu matanoso kayemes. If you leave karka, the matano is kayemes. So what did we say? We said you have to leave something if you want to go ahead and not get it back. If you want to get it back, give away everything. If you leave a little bit for yourself, then the matano is kayemes. So what do you notice, first of all, here? You notice that you have to leave seemingly karka. And the obvious question is, how much is kolshu? So if I leave an acre of land, if I leave a corner of my field, how much is kolshu? In which sense we're going to say, well, I left a little bit for myself, and therefore lamaisa I can't get anything back if I'm omeid mechelyo. Says the Gemara v'kama kolshu. How much is kolshu? Amar Yehuda Marav karka kedei parnasaso. If he leaves enough karka to sustain him, seemingly for the rest of his life. For Yirmiyah ba'arva Amar metaltalin kedei parnasaso. He leaves enough metaltalin kedei parnasaso. What does that mean? Let's just see the third line. Rashbam dechikai mechelyo. Going a little bit ahead, but if he gets better, samech alayu. Because again, what are we trying to do here? We're trying to read his mind to see whether he wanted to give away the stuff even if he gets better. He wanted to only give it away if he doesn't get better. Says the Gemara, "V'hokach nasan ladas ken shafilu im yamod mechelyo tiskayema matana v'hu yitparnes mimashashir metatalei nami." So if we see that he left enough karka to seemingly, depending how old he is, etc., to seemingly support it, right? We always have this with older people where they want to give away everything. They want to just keep what they need just for themselves. I don't need anything else. I just need what I need for myself. I'll give everything else away. So what's just for yourself? So if we're able to be mishayer, that he left over just a little bit of karka that I'd be able to support him on his $500 a month that he needs for the rest of his life for the next 30 years, he's 80 years old, so if he gave away everything but that little bit amount of karka or that little bit of metaltalin, which we see is kedei parnasasa, which will be able to get him through the next 30 years, then we know that everything else he wanted to just give away as a matana, and lemaisa it'll be chal. If he doesn't live, if he just leaves away a quarter of a piece of land, which will be able to support him for about 3 days, then it was clear that he had in mind that he was going to die, and it was clear that if he gets better, he had in mind that he wants to get back all this stuff. I don't know. It doesn't say anything about Manhattan.
Well, it doesn't say. It doesn't say how you estimate.
Correct. Kedei parnasaso. But again, they would have to be mishayer based on the person, based on the circumstances, based on where you live. If you live in Thornhill, you live a little piece of land. You can live a lot longer than if you live a little piece of land, even in Manhattan, maybe. Amar Rabbi Zera, Kama mechavnin. How precise is shmataisa desabi? They're so precise. What do you mean they're so precise? Their svaras are so clear. Karka tamamai di ikai samachala, like Rashbam said, metaltali nami ikai samachalayu. It makes sense. Therefore, it doesn't matter if it's metaltalin, it doesn't matter if it's karka, as long as he has enough kedei parnasaso to leave him for the next 20, 30 years, or however long he needs, or 10 years, whatever it is, he'll be fine. Maskiv fla Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef asked the following kasha. Umay kavanasa. What are you claiming that they're so precise? Read the words. Don't you read the words? It says, Shayir karka kolshu matanaso kayemit. First of all, mandamer metaltalin karka tanan. Very nice, it's precise. Very nice, the svara makes sense, but then not what the Mishnah says. The Mishnah says you leave over karka. So what are you saying? Oh, the guy who says metaltalin that's a good shot because it's good svara. Yeah, but it says the word karka, not metaltalin. And second of all, mandamer kedei parnasaso kolshu tanan. If it really means kedei parnasaso, it should have said kedei parnasaso, not kolshu. So it's not going to answer this question, at least not today. But the first question we're going to get to. So what's pshat with karka? Why does it say karka? The fact that it says karka seemingly seems to be just karka. Amalei Abai answers no. V'chalecha detani karka dafka? No. In general, that's not a problem. The svara was precise, and when it says karka, in general, karka doesn't necessarily just mean karka. And we're going to bring a proof now that karka doesn't just mean karka. Where do we see that karka doesn't just mean karka? V'hatnan, we have a Mishnah. Hakosev kol nechasav. If I write, quote, kol nechasav, end quote, la'avdo. If I write all of my nechasim to my eved, yatsa ben chorin. He goes free. Why? Because included in giving him all of my nechasim is what? Giving him himself. If I give kol nechasav, if I give you all of my nechasim, that includes you. Therefore, you get free and you get all my stuff. Shayir karka kol shehu lo yatsa ben chorin. But if I leave over and I say, I'm giving you all my stuff, except for a karka kol shehu, then you don't go free. Rashbam, kigon she'amar chutz mekarka kolshu lo yatsa ben chorin. Why? She'ha'eved hukash lekarkos. This is what we needed, because an eved is like karkos, and he goes and he says v'hisnachaltem that an eved is sometimes referred to as land, as karka. So if I say I'm freeing everything, but I'm giving you everything but my karka, in essence I'm saying I'm giving you everything but yourself. In essence I'm saying I'm giving you nothing, because if you're not getting your freedom, then everything can go to you. But what happens if everything goes to my eved? It really goes to me. But what do we see from here? We see that according to the Tanakama, we refer to karka, we refer to an eved as karka sometimes. Just skip to the bottom of that Rashbam, interestingly. Avalim Amar, but if he says, Kol nichasai nisunin lecha chutz misad ploni. If I say I'm giving you everything except for a karka kolshu, then that could be the eved. But if I say except for that specific piece of land, then harehu ben chorin she'eved eno b'chlal also sada shapiresh. Then clearly the eved goes free and gets everything except for that little land because he's clearly not that land. But if I say you're going free except for a little bit of land, the eved might be the little bit of land, and therefore it will not go free. Rabbi Shimon argues, Omer, and he says, La'olam hu ben chorin, he's always free, ad sheyomar kol nechasai nisunin leploni avdi chutz me echad mi ribo shebehen. Until he says, I'm giving all of my nechasim except for 1/10,000th, he's going to go free. Zok the Rashbam, im shir karka kol shehu, if he leaves over karka, im shir karka kol shehu, de shir karka velo eved. It's saying, no, karka is karka. Rabbi Shimon argues. But we're going to bring the proof from the Tanakhama. Rabbi Shimon says karka means karka. However, v'yomar, if he says kol nechasan idnu ploni avdi to you chutz me'echad mi'rubajen, except for 1/10,000th, then we assume that what's the 1/10,000th? Himself. Shehu echad mi'rubo ha'eved kai ve'eno meshuchrar v'derech kavod kasav la'avdo kach umikol makom lo kana klum. It was a nice way of saying I'm giving you everything, but I'm giving you nothing. But Rabbi Shimon says, therefore, karka is karka dafka. So if I go and I free my slave and I'm saying kol nechasav la'avdo, he goes free. If I say I'm giving you everything except for karka, you go free except for the karka, even if I don't specify a specific piece of karka. The only way that you won't go free, says Rav Shimon, is if I say you're going free except for, you get everything except for 1/10,000th of my stuff. Because then we assume I'm basically saying you're going free except for yourself, which means you're not getting anything. But the Tanakama, which is what we needed here, because again, we're trying to bring a proof that sometimes karka is lav dafka karka. Over here, the Tanakama says that if I free my eved and I say kol nechasai, then he goes free. But if I say kol nechasai chutz mi karka, we assume that when I said chutz mi karka, I mean you, the eved, who we refer to sometimes as karka. And therefore, we see that according to Tanakama, there are actually times when we're going to refer to karka as not necessarily karka. We're going to refer to karka, and it means other things as well. And then when we say shayir karka kolshehu in our Mishnah, we could say not necessarily just karka. It could mean that you leave metalton as well. Comes back and he rejects this and says, no. What are you talking about? This is just a separate thing. 1 second. A side point. Asu metaltalin shir eitzel eved velo asu metaltalin shir eitzel kesuva. Zok the Rashbam. Afagav diktani shir. This is within the Tanakama now. Shir karka kolshu lo yatsa ben chorin. According to Tanakama, we said if he leaves any karka, he doesn't go free because we assume he's the karka. Hu adinim shir metaltalin kolshu. According to Tanakama, if he says I'm freeing you, I'm giving you everything except for a little bit of land, he also won't, except for a little bit of metaltalin, he also won't go free because we'll assume that the eved is that little bit of metaltalin. Alma, for our purposes, what do we see? Afa gav diktani karka, lav dafka. Elahu adin metaltali. And therefore, in our Mishnah, when it says shir karka kolshu, it's also lav dafka. But over here, he's just saying asu metaltalin shir eitzel eved. That means that according to Tanakama, when I use the word metaltalin, that can include eved. V'lo asu metaltalin shir eitzel ksuva. But when I use metaltalin, it doesn't ruin the ksuva. What does that mean? Just a separate law. Let's see the Rashbam. 4th line. Hakosev nechasav lebana v'chasav leishto karka kol shehu avda ksuvasa. If I write my nechasim to my kids and I give my wife some karka, she's giving up her ksuva by accepting that karka. And there's some who say that she was shosekes. Uperish Rav Nachman. Kevan sha'asa shuteves bein abanim avda ksuvasa. Since she became a partner in the land, she loses her ksuva debayi karka kol shushashirla shalonasan lebanav machla ksuvasa. By accepting land, she's basically accepting land in lieu of her ksuva. V'dafka karka kolshu. It's dafka karka. Aval shirla v'kasala metaltalin kolshu lo avda ksuvasa. But if in general the husband leaves some metaltalin to her, it's not in lieu of the ksuva. Land is in lieu of the ksuva, not metaltalin. The ksuva ikra gova mikarkai v'lo mi metaltali. Since the ksuva in general has gone from karka, therefore if he leaves a little bit of karka, we could say it's in lieu of the karka. But since the ksuva is not usually taken from metaltalin, it's not going to be, if he leaves her metaltalin, it's not in lieu of the ksuva. But misag ksuva silchach kakari sam chadaitu l'kach lo asu metaltalin shir l'ksuvasa. Dim shir la'abal metaltalin v'latzanak shechilak nechas alban v'chas v'ishon metaltalin kolshu lo avda ksuvasa. Again, that's a side point. That an eved can be referred to in the Tanakama both as karka and as metaltalin, but in general, a woman's only going to lose her ksuva by karka, but not by metaltalin. But at the end of the day, again, we see that according to the Tanakama, the word karka is lav dafka, and therefore it's precise when we say shir karka kolshu in our Mishnah. It means that you were shir karka or metaltalin. V'aid and v'hasam. So he answers back and says no. Hasam b'dinhu delo lisnei karka v'aidi detana reisha etc. Mishum hachi ketani karka. And we'll read that reisha in just a second. He says back to him and says no. He says karka is karka dafka. Why over there in that Mishnah does he use karka to refer to Eved? Because it wanted to keep the lashon consistent with the reisha of that Mishnah. The reisha of that Mishnah, as we're going to see, which is not connected to Avadim, talks about karka. So when it spoke about Avadim going free and Yatza ben Chorin, it referred to Avadim as karka. But in general, when you just have the word karka by itself means karka, and therefore, according to this opinion, in our Mishnah, when it says that you have to leave over karka, you leave over karka kolshehu. Obviously, the other opinion would say, no, karka is karka, but karka can also mean Eved. What is the sefer, what's the reisha of that Mishnah over there where it says karka? Says the Gemara, the Tani reisha Rabbi Akiva Omer, karka kolshehu. If you have a little bit of karka in your possession, chayeves bepeya, you have to leave some of it unharvested for peya. Ubi bikurim, once you have a little bit of karka, even a kolshehu, and this doesn't necessarily mean kedei parnasaso here, but you have to leave bikurim from the field. V'lichtam aleim prosbo. We know that before the Shemitah cycle cancels your loans, as we write a prosbo, you can only write a prosbo if the stuff is secured by land. The debt needs to be secured by land, but even a kolshu of land is enough to secure a debt, to be able to write a prosbo on it. And also, if you have a little bit of land, we know that you're allowed to be kona something, as we mentioned at the very beginning of the shir, agav karka, kinyan agav. So even a tiny bit of land will allow you, through that acquiring or selling of that land, will allow the person to acquire metaltalin as well. Mishum hachi ketani karka. And because of this, it says karka. So again, we said shir karka kol shehu is matanaso kayemes. Again, the Gemara says kol shehu is kedei parnasaso. We asked the question, why is that? We didn't talk about that. But kol shehu is kedei parnasaso. Shir karka. So we said, well, karka means lamaisa anything. It means karka. It means metaltalin. And it means kedei parnasaso. But karka metaltalin, so Rav Yosef says, I don't understand. At the end of the day, it says karka. Karka means karka. We brought up Mishnah that says, no, we see that karka doesn't necessarily mean karka. Karka can mean Eved over there. And therefore, in our Mishnah, karka can mean karka, but it could also mean metaltalin as well. He said back to Rav Yosef, said himself, he said, no, you're being silly. Karka always means karka. The only reason they refer to karka or to an Eved as karka over there is because the beginning of the Mishnah was talking about karka, used the word karka, and therefore the end of the Mishnah used karka as well. But Rav Yosef would say no. In general, where it says karka, karka means karka, and therefore he would interpret our Mishnah that when it says shir karka kolshu, we would argue and say no, it dafka needs to be karka. And if you go ahead and a shchivera gives away all of his stuff and just leaves metaltalin, then that's not considered to be shir karka kolshu. And Lamaisa, if he gives away all of his stuff in metaltalin, karka is not going. But if you leave karka, then you ruin everything. But if you give away everything and just leave some metaltalin, then it's as if you gave away everything, says Rav Yosef. And Lamaisa, you will end up being able to get it back if you're ome. But that's the two opinions. Is it karka dafka? You have to leave karka, or seemingly as the other people learn that whether you leave karka or metaltalin, if you leave anything in your possession, then anything else you give away as a shchimera is considered to be a matana, and if you get better, you will not be able to get it back.